Hello Kamen Rider fans and welcome back to Toku Topics. So today I wanted to talk about something in particular, and that is Kamen Rider Geats. So it's been almost a year at the time of this video since Kamen Rider Geats has come to a close. We're working our way through Gachard, Gabu, Guvuv, I still don't know how to say it correctly, just got officially revealed. And yet what also got officially revealed was a crap ton of more Geats things. I mean, only 3 things, but like adding on to the piles and piles of Geats merchandise that Bandai is just pumping out. And it's starting to get pretty ridiculous. So today I wanted to talk about the premium deluxe lineup of stuff from Kamen Rider Geats, discuss the new items, kind of give a very brief overview of what they've already kind of done, and discuss why are we doing this. So the Premium Deluxe line was launched last year during Geats, when they released the Shinobi buckle from the TTFC special Tycoon Meets Shinobi. So this was basically, even though it was the only release of the Shinobi buckle, they promoted this as where it was like using a retail mold being from the Ninja buckle and like upgraded to have voice phrases and sound effects in of itself that the original toy did not have. So they like upgraded the toy mold, right? So this made it Premium Deluxe. So while in the past there would just be a premium Bandai exclusive item and it would just basically be the exact same quality as Deluxe but just released in the premium format, and we should have seen where this was going to be going. So the first sign that this was going to get a little out of hand was the, I love saying the full thing, Premium Deluxe Memorial Edition Laser Raise Riser, which was a very unnecessary toy. Ran into a ton of issues where there was problems with the way that the toy was engineered, so the sounds were wrong. So there was like a whole, like, not really recall of them, but there was a whole replacement program for the Laser Raise Riser. There was the whole thing to where if you wanted the only thing that was new about it, which were the new features of it, which were the premium Bearaba and Keikara cards, you had to pre-order it by a certain day to get them, and it was just a whole mess for a toy that like really was perfectly fine how it was. And then they got just even more ridiculous. Like, you know, if that was already bad enough, there was the Laser Raise Riser belt holder thing, which was like a CSM-styled version of that, where it was bigger, but the original toy never did anything other than just was a holster, and this one was the same way. So I don't know, like, who other than K2EIZO on YouTube, who buys everything, I don't know anybody who actually bought that. And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. We are only a couple of items away from this at this point from the entire retail Geats line being re-released in a premium format. Now, of course, this is a very minor problem if you already have the retail stuff. In a way, you can just ignore this stuff. However, the whole selling point behind Premium Deluxe is that these are the best versions of these toys. You know, we've made them show accurate, and we've given them features they didn't have before, or whatever, or may have you. And that is somewhat okay when you're upgrading some retail things to premium. But then we start getting into this thing to where there's rumors, very concrete rumors, that they're going to start diving into premium deluxe items of things that were already premium. So there's already rumors of there being a premium deluxe fantasy raise buckle, Gouging sword raise buckle, and also a premium version or premium deluxe version of the Vision driver. Now that one could be justified. We'll get to that in a minute. But Fantasy and Gouging Sword, why? Like, they were already premium. Gouging Sword already was a special buckle. Fantasy, like, other than voice phrases, like, which it doesn't need, why would they do a premium deluxe version of that? Like, that's where we're really starting to cross this line here. I don't know if they're getting so many different releases in this line because Gachard maybe is underperforming, or maybe Geats just really overperformed and they just want to keep milking it. It could be somewhere in the middle between those two things. So the newest things they announced were the premium deluxe versions of the Fever slot, the Boost Mark II raise buckle, and then there's this ID core thing, which we'll get to in a second, because I could go all on about that one, and it's in the thumbnail. So the Fever slot one, what did they change? Well, there's, you know, there's a funny comparison where they show the 2 Fever slots, and it's like, here's the deluxe one, here's the premium deluxe one. And aesthetically wise, the only things they really changed is there's like a metallic gold paint on the dial on the side now. And then feature wise, there's like a button system on the top. So unlike the original toy, and then also technically the show, where you would, you know, pull the lever and it's a slot machine, so it would give you a random result of the main 5 buckles. Or like the special one where you got boost or you got a weapon buckle. So in the original toy, you could either pull the lever and get it legitimately be random, or you could just turn the dial on the side and get the one that you wanted. What they're doing now is, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but there is no longer a randomized aspect to it. There will now be a thing where like you'll change it to be like it's going to be Magnum now, or it's going to be Zombie now, which is important for what this buckle ended up becoming. But then we got Boost Mark II, which like, why? The only thing they really changed with this one is they've covered the screw holes. The paint's a little bit different. Like, it looks great, don't get me wrong, but basically this Boost Mark II buckle is going to have a whole thing where you can replicate the creation of the Boost Mark II buckle when Ace like held the Boost buckle up in the air and summoned the other ones from his other past versions. And they did this hilarious part in the demo video on Bandai Mania's YouTube channel where they replicated that. But the only like big feature they've added to this buckle, which is not much because it doesn't change the sounds, it's just more voice phrases, is that in the final stage show for Geats, there was a very brief amount of time where Tycoon actually used Boost Mark II. And so that is included. And for somebody who loves stage show things and stage show things getting represented, I mean, that is great, that's cool, but the transformation sound is not different. So it doesn't matter that they added something specifically for Tycoon's Boost Mark II, because I could already pretend. But what it doesn't get stupider than this final thing, which is ID core, or sound ID core specifically, set 5. So the sound ID cores were already a very frivolous thing. It was kind of that stepping stone between, like, you know, things that were justified and where we're at now. And they're just ID cores that have voice phrases in them, and they did 4 sets of them that were all character themed. They're throwing a summary version of Geats into the last ID core set, so I'm gonna unfortunately have one of these against my will because I want the regular ID cores. But this set is absolutely insane. So they are doing sound ID cores for Geats and Tycoon that have plates for you to change them to Nago and Buffa. You don't get Nago and Buffa sound ID cores. You just have to put the Nago plate on a white ID core, which doesn't match, and then mind-bogglingly, you have to put the Buffa like plates on the green ID core, which doesn't match at all. And they're like, oh, you barely will notice it. But like, it so totally sticks out in the front, like this tiny little piece of green plastic. This is absurd. And these ones are not even voice phrase ones, I think. They are just music, background music, which is cool once again. But like, why? what purpose does this set serve? And like, if they were gonna do that, just put 4 of them in a set. What are we doing this plate thing for? So I already thought the sound ID cores were stupid. And this is like taking it to a whole new level. This is like the stupidest premium Bandai thing I've seen in a very, very long time. And I genuinely cannot understand who's going to buy this. Like, I don't know. The ID cores were perfectly fine how they were. We didn't necessarily need to add voice phrases and, you know, background music to them. Basically, you know, between these things and the straps for the Desire Driver and stuff like that and all these premium deluxe things, they're basically trying to essentially make a CSM, a complete style modification line for Geats, but not calling it CSM. They're like trying to get you like piecemeal. If you don't have any of these things, then I think it's perfectly valid. Like if you don't have the Fever slot, maybe track down the premium one. If you don't have Boost Mark II, maybe track down the premium one. And you can say that for any of the other buckles, right? I mean, the Vision Driver I have conflicting thoughts about. So it's not confirmed that they're doing a premium deluxe version of it, but it's been heavily rumored since like September. And the problem with that is that at first I thought that was going to be colossally stupid. I was like, no, because that was already a premium belt. There's no way you're getting me to buy it again. Like, what would you add to it, right? Except for voice phrases and stuff. Well, then there was the final stage show, which introduced the Yamato Gazer, which had, I think, like very similar sounds to like regular Gazer's transformation, but you could, you know, in theory justify and be like, well, that's a mode that they could add to a new Vision Driver, and it's like, okay, fine. And then we heard this rumor that the next episode of Kamen Rider Outsiders, which you haven't checked out my video about that, be sure to check that out. I love Outsiders. Geats stuff has already been has already found its way into Outsiders, with Sumari being in the most recent episode. And it's now being heavily rumored that Jin, I think is how you say his name, Geats' supporter from Geats, is rumored to be in the 6th episode, the next episode coming out in September, and using some version, some sort of either repainted or remolded in some way, or possibly just different sounds or whatever, Vision Driver. And if that's the case, I feel like this long-rumored Premium Deluxe Vision Driver and this Outsiders thing for Jin is one and the same. And if that's the case, if we have 2 riders that you could justifiably add to this, Yamato Gazer and some new Jin form, then you know what? Fine, I suppose. And I do love the Vision Driver, so I can cut it like a little bit of slack, but just like a little bit. If it's actually more different than we think that it is from when you first hear the name Premium Deluxe Vision Driver, then, you know, I'll keep an eye out for that one. I haven't made my full opinion on that one yet, so. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, there's already a ton of stuff. Like, this is not new. You know, over the last couple of months, they've put up pre-orders for all of the main 5 buckles, and also a lot of those are out at this point. And they had already done things like Boost Mark 9 just got one that's coming out somewhat soon, and like the upgrades are nice. I can't deny that these are the definitive versions of these items, but man, is it just kind of frustrating and kind of a slap in the face to people who had already bought them that you have to buy them again, or that they want you to buy them again. But like I said, let me know in the comments below, did you replace any of your Geats stuff with the Premium Deluxe stuff? Are this, you know, a lot of these the first time you've had an opportunity to get them? Anything down in the comments below about it, and what do you want to see them make from Geats, I just want to know. And that's going to do it. So of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or at LightningFigPR, and I will see you all later. Before I wrap up this video, I want to go ahead and thank my $5 above Patreon members and channel members: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, MCPC Studios, James Darty, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Pyramidas, Cross SCV, Caboose Ed, Socket Monsters, Daniel Pica, Jesus Prime, Louis Carnes, Carlos Alfredo, Gavin Greenlee, and Austin Jones. If you'd like to support Toku Topics, you can do so either here on YouTube as a channel member or on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, linked in the description below.